Welcome to my morning coffee. Always bold, hot, and full of flavor. Gia and Tonya are my morning coffee. What's in your cup?
Well, hey, good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of My Morning Coffee, where the conversation is always hot, bold, and full of flavor and pretty organic. Today, we're going to bring on an incredible woman that is doing some things to make a difference in the lives of young women that have been displaced, unappreciated, not taken care of, and we're going to hear about how she is making a change. I mean, change maker, okay? Not someone that just complains, but someone that gets in there and does the work. But before we do that, let's find out what's in Miss Gia's cup and how she's been.
Morning, y'all.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, black is beautiful.
It is. So what's in your cup, Mama?
Coffee. I got some coffee. It's a little strong today. Hopefully it'll give me a little pickup so I can get some things done today and this week. I'm trying to start up my week off differently, I think, or maybe better. Trying to be energized.
Better than what?
Than the past, my weeks I've been kind of sluggish, and so I'm trying to, re-energize myself. So I'm gonna hopefully this cup of coffee that's stronger than usual, gets me started to tackle my week. Because I've been sluggish, so I haven't been doing much of anything. Not much. I haven't been doing much creating, and I have some things in my head that I need to get out onto some canvas, some shirts, some beads, I need to make some stuff, because I got some ideas and I'm excited about the ideas.
As long as those aren't voices in your head, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, no, they're not voices. They're just ideas. And of course I have a lot of ideas, and I think sometimes I have too many ideas and it's not enough of me to get them all out. So so hopefully I can get something done today. I know I owe some people some things. I got to work on that. And I know you're one of those people that I owe some things. Trust me, I have a little list of what I owe Tonya. Okay. And I'm working on it. I'm also working on some stuff for the Bosswood Brands brunch that's coming up, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little later. So I've been doing that. But other than that, I didn't do too much this weekend, other than I helped out KJ Catering, which is Kevin Monroe and Jeffrey Sneed's catering business. They had an event on Easter Sunday. We catered a family event. A family hasn't been together for like 2 years since the pandemic. So this is their first time getting together, and they wanted to have something for Easter. So we catered. They wanted a taco. The thing was tacos or Mexican. So the guys, I don't know if you saw, I posted a picture of the day. Jeff, he was prepping. He was on the grill grilling the meats and stuff like that for the whole taco. I'll call it a taco bar / nacho bar or something like that. But it was really a taco bar. But we made nachos and they were so delicious. So I think I'm going to have something at my house in my yard, a little taco, a little nacho soiree or something. I don't know what I'm gonna call it, but we're gonna be eating nachos. That's all I know right now. We're gonna eat nachos, and we might do something else. We might just eat nachos and drink, margaritas, or eat nachos and drink some wine, or eat nachos and talk some,
Mess.
stuff. Or we might eat nachos and paint, I don't know, but I want to have these nachos. I want people to have these nachos some kind of way. So that might be coming
So
up.
clearly they were pleasing to you.
Yes, 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 yeah.
You
Kevin
always, every time Jeff and Kevin cater, you always come back with these ideas about what you want to do with your food and your
yeah,
yard. So I think you need to go ahead and just organize the event.
yeah,
I'll bring the margaritas. We'll make it happen.
yeah. So yes, that was kind of like my weekend. It wasn't really, nothing spectacular. But I want to get into your cup because I bet, Tonya, I missed you. You and the kids and Ray, y'all went away, and for the kids, for the baseball and stuff and everything. But I was really feeling some type of way that y'all was gone. And I was like, I realized that the whole McKenzie family, like y'all, my family, and I was just like, my family, they gone, they in Vegas, and
But that's how I feel when I see pictures
without
of
me,
you and Jeff on islands
you
doing
know,
your retreats.
yeah, I was just like, they're like they're gone, and I'm like, I kind of wanted to go, I was like, I should have gotten a car, I'm just like, but either here nor there. So tell me about your weekend or your week, because you guys look like you had a good time. Seemed like the kids, I saw some rings and stuff. I saw some stuff, girl, some bling. I was like, oh, okay, no more little trophies like we did when we was kids. They get bling now, huh?
Oh my God, it's crazy. So coffee in my cup this morning, still recovering from Vegas. We went for the Vegas Valley Delta Vegas baseball tournament. Roman and Royce played. Roman got sick. So the weather in Vegas, this is what I realized. When you live somewhere, your body becomes accustomed to that weather. And no matter how much people say LA weather is polluted or, the things that they say, we went to Vegas and this kid FaceTimed me at 4 a.m. and I can't breathe. The weather in Vegas and having smoking facilities, so these hotels, hotel casinos, and you can smoke in them.
Yeah.
It actually did some damage to his lungs. So he could not breathe between the smoking in the hotel and the windstorms that were going on in Vegas. He couldn't even play in his last two games.
But Tanya,
So that
I will say though, where you live is different from where some of the rest of us live, and you live where you probably get a little bit better air because you off of that ocean.
well,
Where
keep in mind,
some of us is down. Some of us down. We like in the hood. We living off of streets that's that's heavy travel. A lot of cars, and so a lot of pollution in probably some other areas of Los Angeles as opposed to where you live. So
well, this is the thing. They practice in Inglewood. So we spend damn near half of our time in Inglewood every week. Half of our week is spent in Inglewood. So whatever's going on in any part of LA, he has become accustomed to it. They play in Compton, they play everywhere. But it was totally different. Every time we go to Vegas, we have to take the nebulizer because he just him and Ray
that's smoke. That's
heavily affected. So,
yeah.
all that being said, the 14U, they won the championship. They won the chip. So very proud of them. Shout out to Rockstar Baseball. And listen, if you have a kid out there of color that is looking to level up in baseball, I recommend that you look them up. Look up Eric Aldridge, look up LA Rockstars baseball, and get your kid involved. And I know for a lot of people, they think, oh, well, baseball is boring and baseball this. And listen, baseball has the longest, you have more longevity in your career in baseball. There's a lot of opportunity for kids of color in baseball, and you don't get hurt as much. So listen, make it an option. Stop acting like, oh, well, we're just used to we play basketball and we play football. Check this out. We do a lot of things. So when we show up and there's a whole team full of melanated kids that come to your town and none of them look like the people that live there, there's a certain look on their face when they see these rock star kids show up, right? They're not used to that. Not only is it a team full of melanated kids, but they are good. They're good. Their coaches know what they're doing. And it's an experience that the families get to enjoy. And, the team that we whoop up on, it ain't nothing but respect. When we
Yeah.
leave, they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. I never see nobody enjoy a whooping that much just because it's just dope to watch. So listen, if you got some kids, they need a team for baseball, um, get them going because LA
You
Rock
know,
Stars has been a dream.
I saw y'all playing some bowling too. I saw a little bowling. I was like, okay, they just doing all kind of fun stuff. And I saw the food that y'all was eating too. Um, yeah. So I was like, oh, I said the first time you made it seem like, oh, I gotta go to Vegas for the traveling baseball. Oh, like, oh. And then I was like, shoot, that girl out there having a good ass time. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. And stuff.
Listen, if you're gonna do it, you better have a good time doing it.
Yeah. Oh, but Jeff said we got a viewer. He says the annual Mahogany Box corporate retreat is a thing. No hating allowed. It is a thing. That's right. That was our first annual one when we went. It's a thing. Every year we will have the Mahogany Box corporate retreat. That's where we go and we have workshop, breakout meetings. We talk about things, for the corporation, what the corporation is going to be doing in the new year and things like that.
You mean you and Jeff go and talk
you
about
know, you know what?
naked? What?
It's the
Girl,
company.
bye.
It's the company. It's the company. Okay, the company. Okay.
I'm done with you. So listen, y'all.
So hey,
I'm done with her.
you,
And we're gonna bring our guest on because we need somebody that's talking that makes sense. Now's good. So without further ado, this woman that is doing amazing things, who has paved her own path, past her own trauma and struggles, to now run a nonprofit that helps young women in Southern California. Let's bring on Miss Dretona Maddox. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hi. Thank you for having me.
So listen, we just want to know what's in your cup and how have you been?
Coffee in my cup. It is finals week. As you can see, this is my Doctor of Social Work cup. I'm currently a student, so my week has been full of writing papers and presentations. So it's been a rough in these streets. But
So you are getting ready for your PhD. Tell the people where you are from, um, what you're getting your PhD in, and how did you get to this point in your career?
I'm from South Central LA. I'm getting a doctorate in social work, so it'll be a DSW, which is a practicing doctorate, not necessarily in just research, which is what a PhD is. It's more of a practicing doctorate in social work practice. So that's what I'm getting it in. I professionally, I'm a registered nurse and a licensed clinical social worker. And so I hold both degrees in nursing and also in social work. And then I decided it was that pandemic. That pandemic just makes you do things. At the top, I thought it was going to be like 2 weeks, like, oh, yeah, we're in this pandemic. It's going to be fine. We'll be fine in 2 weeks. And then I realized it was going to be much longer. And had talked to some other nurses, and I'm like, we're going to be in this thing for about 2 years. And I thought it was wise, I don't know why, to get my doctorate at that time. But here we are. I'm at the conclusion. So it kind of worked out for me because I'm at the end of it now. But I went through the whole pandemic in a doctoral program.
That's awesome. And you I look at it as though you capitalized on the dead time that we had in 2 years. A lot of people, some people still trying to pivot and figure it out. But and like you said, we didn't know we were going to be in here that long. If I had a crystal ball and would have known, I probably would have did some other things too within these 2 years. Like I probably would have had some of these surgeries I need to have, in these 2 years, and I could be right now. And I could be doing my thing, stuff. But, so yeah. But that is so awesome. I can't wait to hear all about your journey, what you're doing, because from what we know, what little bit we do know, you're doing a lot of big things. You're helping out a lot of young women, and I love to see that because I'm all about empowering others. So yeah. I was just like, oh, okay, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to get into all of this, all what you're doing, and hopefully, at the end, I'll be able to take away something, something more, and our viewers will too, and maybe I can help be a part of what you're doing in some kind of way. So I want to hear all about it.
So tell the viewers about the nonprofit that you started and why.
So the name of my organization is Purposely Chosen Incorporated, and I started it 16 years ago. Actually, March 20th, we celebrated our 16th year. And I started the organization, really, it was designed to support homeless youth. That was my desire. And the only reason why I felt like that was the thing that I was called to do, is what I was initially thinking, was to help homeless youth, is because I was a homeless youth. My mom died by suicide when I was 4 years old. I had 10 years of stability with my grandmother. And then at 14, she died. And then I was displaced from there. Wasn't supported by my family. I was a teenager. My mother had already died. I didn't have a father in my life. And so I got left to the streets. And during that time, I couch surfed for a few years, and then ended up in a lady's house who, back in the day, from South Central, they used to take you in. They didn't call social services. It was like that big mama effect. Come on in here, I'll feed you. I won't call, but you got to go to school. You got to work. It was kind of that thing. And so I ended up in this lady's house, and I was able to get back in school. I had dropped out after ninth grade, got back in school, doing well at that point, and then discovered I was pregnant. And so the lady said, well, I said, you can come. I didn't say you can bring no baby. It was words that literally changed my life. And I said, so what am I supposed to do? I was stable at that point, and I thought I'm back in school. I have a dream for myself now. I can dream again. I can see myself recovering from the year or so of homelessness. And she said, you can either leave here or you can get rid of it. Those were my options. And so at 15 years old, I made a 15-year-old decision to terminate the life of my baby. And I did it because I didn't want to leave there, right? Like, I didn't want to leave my stability. I didn't want to leave the roof over my head, because I had experienced that, and I didn't want to experience that with a baby. And then the only other option was to get rid of it. Now, I didn't understand the full complexities and the pain and everything that comes along with, and the lifetime of guilt and shame that you carry with abortion. But I was 15 and I made the decision. And then I spent my life from there dedicated to making it worth what I did, right? Like, I'm going to repair this mistake. But if I prove that I went to school and I become this and I become that and I do this, which has been my life, really trying to pay back this thing or make right my wrong. I had then, through all of my journey, I graduated from USC. Like, I really did the thing. It happened, right? My dreams had come true. I discovered that I was still so unfulfilled after all of these accomplishments. And then now I have this opportunity that's presented before me, and that is to open a stabilization home for homeless youth. And I'm like, this is it. Like, now I'm going to give back. I'm going to show, like, I was homeless. I can do this thing. It's a good story to tell. People will hear this. And got ready to submit the program, called the guy and was like, where do I turn it in at? He says, nah, we don't have a need for that in our county anymore. We're going to send you out the new needs assessment. And if you can get in where you fit in, then resubmit. And I'm like, man, I remember just feeling so devastated. Like, Lord, I thought that I had answered the call. I thought that I was where I was supposed to be. I got the needs assessment back. I'm on the freeway. I open it up. Shouldn't be doing this when I'm driving, but I had just gotten my mail. I opened it up, and the only home in my area that they needed was a home for pregnant and parenting teens. And I lost it. It was as if purpose, pain, like everything just collided. It was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. But I knew it wasn't a story that I had told or shared with anyone. It was my secret that I carried. It was my pain. It was the thing that I could easily get depressed about and hold close to my heart. And now I had to release it and share it in order for me to be effective. And so we now have maternity homes for pregnant and parenting teens who are in the foster care system, who are displaced. And I tell them all the time, you'll never have to terminate the life of your kid for a roof over your head. I am the solution to the problem that I had. If that lady would have known of a Born for Nia or a Purposely Chosen that was down the street and around the corner, I would have kept my kid, because I take in 12-year-olds, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year olds who are pregnant and have a desire. They have the courage that I didn't have. They say, I want to keep my kid. And I say, I got you. And so we make sure they become effective little mommies. They graduate. We have a 99% high school graduation rate. We make sure that these mommies have all that they need to become effective parents. And so they're doing it. They're doing it.
Listen, I got so many questions for
I
you.
know.
I got questions, but I do want to start off by saying that, and for those of you that don't know, this is Sexual Awareness Prevention Month. And I want to get into that a little bit with you, because I'm guessing at this point, some of these young ladies that you take in have been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, coming in, not knowing how to deal with it, coming in, never even come to terms with it. Talk to me about some of those experiences and how you continue to be a resource for them, how you help them work through that, or do they?
Yeah, it's kind of the benefit of for the so California went through this point. It was actually in 2015. They went through a reform. So we initially started off with what they called group homes. And group homes was that where you didn't fit in a foster home anymore, and so you needed to go into congregate care because of some behaviors that you're having that couldn't be managed in a foster home type situation. And so it went through this reform where we have these short-term residential therapeutic programs. For short, we call them STRTPs now in the state. And actually, the whole entire system of child welfare went through this reform. Where the major part of the reform, now people got mad at it and they said, "Oh, this is dumb. Like, why are we doing all this stuff? We're already established." Well, the benefit from that was that you had to partner or become a mental health clinic, essentially, along with your residential care. So
Okay.
now you are trained. You have to be trained. You have to be licensed. You have to be able to effectively treat the trauma. You have to be able to manage the pain that these kids are experiencing when they're coming into placement. The kids don't come, they're in placement because they are abused and are neglected. They're in foster care. So they have already been through it, whether, domestic violence, whether abuse in their physical, emotional neglect in their homes. That's why they're in the system. And then along the line, the way they end up getting pregnant. And so that just adds to the trauma. Now, speaking to the reasons, I mean, things that happen, yes, CSEC, child exploitation is what they deal with. Like, some of them are pregnant by the pimp. Some of them are pregnant by their dad. Some of them are pregnant by uncles and, family members and brothers, siblings. Yeah. And so they come into placement having to deal with the abuse that they've experienced in their home or, at the hands of the street where they were pimped out. And so now they're pregnant by the perpetrator, who they call boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. It's very,
Yeah.
very, very hard. So we are trained. We are not, it's no more, group home is not more that mom and pop feel good type of thing where you just feed the kids and make them feel good and provide a safe environment. We're now therapeutic. We're a therapeutic environment where we're trained to do the work.
So do you also have in your home, so you guys have mental health workers that work there too?
Yep. And that's what benefited me. I didn't initially think, and it's think that goes just to purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was doing all of these things to think I was fulfilling something in me, but it was preparing me.
Yeah.
So to be able to be a registered nurse, I'm very familiar with, I was a NICU nurse, a neonatal intensive care nurse. And so I had years of experience as a nurse. And then I added social work because USC was offering a program called Nurse Social Work Practitioner, where they were recruiting registered nurses to get your master's in social work. And to me, I thought, this is the completion of me. Like, this just makes sense to me, not understanding that when the state went through their reform, you had to be licensed to operate as a mental health person, to operate this new formulation of congregate care. So I was ready.
Another thing you talk about when you talked about these women being victims and stuff, and is, first of all, thank you for opening up these places for young teens and stuff, because people don't think about, a lot of them too wind up in the system, and that's the system of incarceration, because they're out hanging out, like what you say, with their boyfriends, so to speak. And boyfriends are committing crimes, and they're there, and they're taking a fall or taking a rap for some of these crimes, and they wind up in jail. So, by me being I'm a lieutenant of LA County Sheriff's Department, and I've worked in the jails, and currently that's I work along with the mental health in the health department inside the jail, was access to care, and we deal a lot with women a lot of women, believe it or not, are incarcerated, young women that are incarcerated and they're pregnant, stuff, 18-year-olds and things like that, and so it's good to know they have a place to be other than inside, an incarcerated place, because that's really not a good place for anybody, unless known, a young 18-year-old young person in there and pregnant, so yeah.
How do you deal with these homes where these young women come, and rightfully so, they come with their baggage, not knowing how to deal with their baggage, their issues, their traumas? Hell, grown-ups that don't even know how to deal with their traumas. But you have these young people, and they're all in this one bubble, and there has to be moments where it blows up. And there are moments where we're just trying to get you to learn how to communicate instead of the thing that you're doing. Talk to me about the volatility in these homes and how you deal with them.
I just had it yesterday while I was at church. I got a call from my staff saying that the girls had gotten into, two pregnant ones had gotten into a physical altercation.
Lord.
It is the nature of the beast. Essentially, it is where you come from. You are a product of your environment, and if violence is all you've seen and experienced, then violence is what you're going to do. Like, and trying to teach them a different way. We have individual, group therapy. We have family therapy, trying to resolve some of those issues in their families. But what we've discovered is that it's so much bigger than us, right? Because even if we prepare them, say, for family reunification, saying that they're going to be going back to their family members, if violence is still happening in that home, then we are essentially setting that kid up to go right back into the same situation. They would have to totally detach, which is one of the hardest things in the world to happen. Like, I grew up in South Central. All I knew was the Broadway swap meet, the ABC Market, the liquor store that was on the corner, the Baptist church that was on the corner, the drug dealers in our neighborhood, and the gangbangers. Like, that was it. That was my community. I didn't know anything outside of that. It was because of me becoming homeless that I got kicked out of my community, and now I'm in this other community where I was exposed to other things. But because I didn't have the attachment, my grandmother had already passed away, and I didn't have an attachment to my South Central LA base anymore, I had to rediscover that there was life outside of what I consider four walls of South Central LA. And when I did that is when I had to develop the buy-in. Like, okay, no, it's not what I'm comfortable in doing, but I'm learning this new way, and I'm excited to learn something different. These moms essentially have to say, the abuse that I experienced on a day-to-day basis is not normal. I should not have gone through that. My mother should have been there. My dad should not have touched me. Like, no, it's not my fault that I'm in this situation. Like, it's all of that. But the kids have a hard time because they're so parentified that they take on the responsibilities of the trauma that they experienced in their families. That is the hardest part. It is that alone. Because now you put the same type of kids with the same type of situations. Then, yes, we have a community of them, but they all are the same essentially. And so trying to get them to pull away from that and to understand that there's so we try to show them a different life.
Good.
We try to expose them to other stuff, to say, look, this is how so no, you're not just going to Popeyes to eat, right? Like, you're going to Benihana's, right? And eventually you're going to go to Lori's. You're going to see that there's a difference. And it's sometimes, in some cases, it is better. And then just hoping that they'll eventually embrace that. But I follow a pattern, and I'll end on this one. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is so important to me, where it says at the bottom, the base is meeting the person where they're at, giving them food, shelter, and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The next of the pyramid is safety. We do that well. We have alarm systems. We make sure, that nothing's going to happen. We got staff there 24 hours a day. We do that. Love and belonging is where it's almost impossible, because you're asking a kid to kind of not disown your family, but let that go for a moment to get the services you need, accept that there is hope and help right here, and then you'll get to esteem. We hardly ever get to esteem because we're stuck at love and belonging.
Mm-hmm.
That is the task. That's the task that I work on every day.
I wanted to ask you a question. Okay. Once a young lady is there and she gives birth to her child, is she able to remain in the home, or do they have to, or do they go somewhere else? How does that work?
No, they're with me. I'm at the hospital when they deliver. And so it's always an interesting process, because they expect a family member to show up, right? Like my mom's going to come, somebody's going to come. And so I'll usually go into the hospital with them, like, all right, let's just get you set up and on the monitors and all of that stuff. And then they're like, Miss Dretona, you don't have to stay because, my mom's going to come. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's all right. Look, let's just get through this process. When she shows up, if you still feel the same way, I'll step away. And then hours go on and we're delivering a baby, and it's just me and the girl. And so, which is so devastating, but it becomes that thing. And so, yes, we're there for the delivery, the laboring, the delivery, and then those babies come home with us.
So how long can a young lady stay in your home past the delivery, past
until
giving birth?
21.
So they're 21. Okay, so they age out of 21. Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, okay, so you have women there that are pregnant, haven't delivered yet, but then you also have families there now. You have women that have their children there too. And so you have a family environment, and you have this other environment of just pregnant women that's there. That's awesome.
One of the hardest things for me was learning how to mother without having a mother. What kind of support do you provide in helping these young women embrace their motherhood in a way that they parent differently than they were parented?
I show them. I didn't have a mother either. And so it's just amazing that God just allows that. I think, I didn't know how to do it. I remember praying when I was a young mom, because although I had my abortion when I was 15, my first child, I was married at 18, just celebrated 30 years of marriage. But my first child I had at 19, my first live birth at 19. And so I remember praying and asking God, like, I've never seen this done before. I don't know how to do it. I don't even know how to love my child. I remember I didn't grow up in an environment where there was affection or touch. And so when the kid was, for breastfeeding, I remember that being such an awkward feeling of just like, or the kid, wanting me, and I'm not feeling worthy of that experience. I remember all of those emotions. And then I just took a leap of faith to say, I'm just going to do it. Let's see how it works. And then I end up being, mothering, very mothering. And so now I don't criticize the kids, my babies, my teen moms. I just show them. I take their babies and I hold their babies and I kiss all on their babies and I do this, and then I watch them do the same. They end up watching me, and I could see the curiosity in their eyes all the time, just like, and they watch how their babies respond, and so they do it. And so all of my staff are mothers. All of them have had the experience of being teen moms, and so we're all the same. And so we just show, but we model, because you can't tell a teenager that they're doing anything wrong, because they know everything, we know nothing. And so I can show you better than I can tell you. So we've embraced that, and we just show them. And then they pick up. They pick up. If they allow themselves. Now, there's some who never pick up. Some just like, I don't want it. And those are the ones where we are now exploring alternative care for them, for if they want to put their kids up for adoption, then they're able to do that, or, give their baby to a family member. We do our best to help them parent, but if they just can't do it, we don't force the issue.
Two things. One of the hardest lessons growing up was learning that domestic violence is not just spouse on spouse. So I watched my grandmother and my mom get beat up by the men in our family, right? Also, when I was around 13, 12, 13, my mom had told me that she was going to try harder to be affectionate. Like she literally had to learn how to hug and learn how to say, I love you and do those things. Like it was so awkward for her to wrap her arms around me and just be like, oh, I love you. She even tried to hug my grandfather one time and he almost knocked her over, like, don't do that. Like affectionate verse. I'd never seen anything like that. But those things being said, she did make the effort. And eventually he started doing it also. As I got older, I started to see kind of the change in the relationship and just the change in them. How often do you actually see progress and change in some of these families that have been so dysfunctional for so long?
I don't hardly ever get to see it in the families. I only get to see it from the young mommies and their babies in my placement.
Mm.
The families, unfortunately, they just so remember they're in placement because of abuse and neglect. So the family usually have a family reunification plan, which means that the court has deemed them negligent in some, like you abused your kid, so then you have a plan. So you have to go to parenting class as a parent, you have to go to parenting classes, substance abuse and all of these things. Well, that's a constant reminder that it's their fault that their kid is in placement. So them having the grown people accept that responsibility and say, I was wrong for what I did to you is so hard. They want to continue to blame the kid. Like, you're the reason why I'm there. If you're here, if you didn't do this, I wouldn't have done this. If you didn't misbehave, I wouldn't. If you didn't run away, I wouldn't have done this. Well, no, we have to take responsibilities as adults and parents for what we did and then want to do something different. But that right there, that population of the parents of the kids that they have abused or neglected is one of the hardest things. So kudos to your mom for even taking the responsibility to say that I see this thing and I want to improve and I want to be able. Most people can't. So I asked permission because I hug all my girls. And that's something that was taboo in child welfare before. Like, you don't do that because what if you get sued? What if you whatever? I asked permission, but I'm a hugger. I'm a hugger. And I didn't grow up that way, but I learned to be that way. And so I'm always, can I hug you? And they just let me. So then us doing that to them and my staff, I give my staff permission to do it. So because we do that, and it's all women that work for us, because we all do it and then the girls see it done, that's how that happens. That's the only way. It doesn't happen for their families. Then you have some girls who refuse to go back home. They're just like, nah, because you're not going to change. You're not going to change. You're still the same. They go for visits with their families and they're like, you're going to stay the same. I'm still dealing with the same stuff and I don't want it. And so they come back. And so that's why to this day, for all the girls that have been, which is many, many girls, hundreds of girls that have been in placement, I'm still in touch with all of them because they remember. And so they're grown now and doing their own things and have their families and whatever. And they're better because they've had that experience, that short time with us.
I'm going to take you down the political path real quick. And I want you to talk to me about how you feel about some of these states that are coming up with these laws that are keeping women and young girls from making decisions about their bodies themselves. If you were in a Texas or Florida where you weren't able to make the decision for yourself, what would that have looked like? Where do you stand on, if you don't mind sharing, on some of these states that now have laws that would have prevented you from being able to make your own personal decision about your body and your future?
I'm just going to say, from my perspective, I was not prepared to make that decision. I didn't have, so a kid is not, statistically, they say that a person's brain development doesn't happen until you're around 24, 25 years old. So being 15 years old and a child, I was not prepared to make that decision. I didn't know the pain and the guilt and the shame that would carry me for many, many years, and just the way my body continues to respond. Not only that, it's the tormenting. It's a torment that now some women say they had abortions and they were fine, they didn't have any issues or whatever. For me, that wasn't my story, that was not my testimony. I constantly remember, and I still remember, my baby is a male child, was a boy. And so I remember the feeling of that. And I didn't have parents, right? I was essentially an orphan. I didn't have parents. So I didn't have anybody to like bounce my decision off of where I could have. And I don't even know at 15 if I would have still, even if somebody explained it fully to me, if I would have understood the fullness of it. Now, for adults, making that decision, is it your right to make a decision? I think we all have the liberty to be able to choose for us, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would say, nah, I'd rather for you to put your kid up for adoption. I think that's a better option. But now with the advent of ancestry DNA, I'm sure they'll find you in about 10 years. so I don't know if you won't get got, eventually in them streets right there. I don't know. But no, I just wouldn't, because of what I went through. It is just not. So I get there's a political thing where it says, who do you have the right to choose? Yeah, I think you should have a right to choose. But what I wish people would fully understand, like, what happens to a person, a woman who makes that decision and then have to live with the fact that you terminated the life, and was it, I struggle with, was it my decision to make, essentially? Because yeah, I did the act, but do I essentially give life? Was it my choice? Was it my choice? I don't know. And I still struggle with it to this day. Did I have the right? I have to reconcile that between me and my God, right? Did I have the right to terminate a life? Did I have a right? Even though it was in my womb, did I have that right? And so I've struggled with that for many, 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 many years.
I've been kind of watching you and Gia throughout this whole conversation, and I see there have been moments where both of you have been emotional and kind of held back. So I just want to ask both of you, especially with you working in this industry, running this organization, you still get incredibly emotional. Gia working in the prisons, talking and listening to you talk about some of this stuff, I see her getting emotional, which is just rare because sometimes I think she ain't got emotions, but I digress. What is that? What is that thing that's like, it's doing a thing to you right now? And I want you to talk about that. Gia, you go first.
Well, wow, Tonya, you got me all emotional.
Right. Exactly.
And I was listening to Miss D talk about her journey, her experience and stuff. And with the whole, I think everybody has a right to choose for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I get where you're saying you don't think at 15 that you might not have been, was it your choice to make? You might, and I get you saying that, but it's still, you should always have that right, whether you're old enough or not old enough to certain things. I don't think nobody should be telling us as women what we should and should not be doing when it comes to our bodies and just our other things, period. Mm-hmm. Also, I look at sometime when you have a lot of teen mothers, young mothers that do have these kids and they're not equipped to be mothers. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so now we have women, we have, teen, young people, young adults with kids that have babies, and they're not taking care of their babies. That right. They're somebody else is taking care of them, i.e. either a family member or their kids wind up in foster care and things like that. And so then I say, okay, well, she had a choice, and her choice was to have life, but here she is not really taking care and being responsible for the life that she brought into this world. And not working in the jails, working with seeing these young people, women, period, that's incarcerated. And if you sit down and talk to them, their stories, a lot of it, like you said, Ms. D, it really stems from their environment, the environment that we all grew up in. A lot of us has not been a good environment, and there's no way out. We was never exposed. Some people never exposed to other things, so they just create this cycle, and you have a cycle of of women doing the same thing. Sometimes their mothers, even sometimes it's their grandmothers. This is a cycle because that's all they know. They have not been exposed. And then sometimes when when the ones that have been exposed, like you said, it's hard to break away from your family. If your family's still in the hood, still doing that stuff, and you get a little time away. I don't went away to do all this stuff, but now I got to go back. I might not be strong enough mentally to break that cycle, so I wind up, back there with the same people that stuff, and it's all over. It's all over again. So it's just sad. It's emotional because it's there's a lot of things going on within the community and with women that and women that just need the help. They need exposure to stuff. They just need resources and services and stuff that are not provided. And then you say, well, God, how can these women get the stuff that they need to make them better, make them a better citizen, and and stuff, because we all are born good and stuff. And I think it's just the environments that we're placed in that have some of us not being so good or getting caught up in different things, and with abuse and with people we shouldn't be with and stuff. And a lot of that's because we don't have examples. We didn't have examples in home to show us that this is who we shouldn't, or this is what we shouldn't be doing. Our examples were the opposite, and sometimes we go that way. So yeah, it was just listening to you talk, and because I've worked with teens when in college. We had a program when I was at Cal State Northridge with one of the professors. She had a program when we worked with young teen mothers, and I remember those times, and those were good times. And sometimes I say to myself, God, why did I stop doing that? Why did I stop being a mentor or working with teen moms and stuff like that? Because it was fulfilling. And just to see these women, some of them, they're young, some of them, they got a lot of fire, and stuff. But I think too, I think for them too, and I commend you, because when you see somebody that looks like you, that's from where you're from, and you see what they've done, it does do something to you to motivate you to see that, hey, she's no different than me. Yeah. And that's what I try to be. When I work with young people, I try to let them know I'm no different than you, even though I might, like I might have this uniform on, stuff like that, but I went to the same public schools that you went to. I was running in your same streets. I was, at the same mall. I was at the Hawthorne Mall. I was at the Fox Hills Mall. I was doing some of that same stuff. I was at young at Zoe's getting my clothes when I was a kid at Zoe's, making the boards, all that stuff, and everything. It's, stuff. So I don't see these eyes have seen a whole lot via my career and in family, and stuff. So it's like, so I'm no different. And I think
that's what I wanted to see. Something resonated with you more than other pieces. Is it the family piece? Because you still have yet to talk about your stuff. So
you see, Miss D, you see how she do me. You see how she do me, Miss D. And it's funny because I talked about her this weekend, Miss D, with my sister, because my sister called me. And we was talking. We don't
laugh at her. Don't
No. My sister got a promotion on her job, and we were talking. I was telling her how proud I am of her, because my sister, she was of them streets, okay, at one point, and she got her life together, and she's been doing well. So I was telling her how proud I am of her, and then she was saying how proud she is of me and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's funny, my co-host Tonya. I said, Tonya and stuff. I said, she's been on me about my story, my story. I need to tell my story. I need to write this book, tell my story. And I told her, I said, talking with her that day and seeing, all that she's accomplished, I said, I might have to tell that story. I might have to go on and get it out there, because a lot of people, there's a story, and it's yet to be told and stuff. But I'm getting I think I'm getting the courage to let y'all in on a little bit more of me.
She hurt now, so even though she got a gun and some handcuffs, I might be able to take her, hold her down, and make her give me the goods. Why for you, Miss D, are you, after all these years, still super emotional about this work, these girls, the stuff that they go through? Talking about it, I see it actually took you somewhere else for a minute.
Because I've yet to meet me. It doesn't, I've often wondered, why me? I guess that was really, why because I wouldn't have picked this life for myself. I would have done something very different. I wouldn't have chosen this. I would have had, two-parent household. I would have, you know, grown up in Beverly Hills. I would have picked a very different life. But I've been chosen, and that's why I think God gave me the title of my, or the name of my business, being purposely chosen. That's still unfolding for me. And why was I purposely chosen to do this work? And so I'm never not emotional, because I'm still so attached to my why. It is the thing that motivates me every single day, because I did, like, essentially when she said, like, I see these kids that have kids, and then they turn out not to be great parents, and they're not necessarily taking care of their kids. That brings me to tears, because I would have rather been one of those kids. I would have rather wanted to be one of those kids that struggled, because in the hood, it is the kids who had the mom who was out there on drugs that loved their moms the most, right? Like, they would do anything for their mothers. And I just would have rather been one of those people. I would have rather been, out here trying and struggling with my kid, versus being, and I don't know why, but I would. And so that's a part of that journey of where I say that guilt and shame that I have struggled with. Now, I have put it in a book. I'm a 4-time author, but and I put a prayer in there to release a level of that shame and guilt, which I've been able to do, in order to even have this discussion with y'all now. Because I wouldn't have been, years ago, I wouldn't have been able to talk about it. I would have been bawling, crying the whole entire time. But I'm always connected to my why. I'm always connected to the purpose. I'm always connected to I still feel it in every fiber of my being. Every mom that I meet, every young person who walks through those doors, every story, I wear on my sleeve. And so we got to do better systemically. It's not just, it's so much bigger than us. Like, at the end, Gia said resources. Where are the resources for these moms, the ones who choose? Okay, now there's plenty of prevention services out there, but what about the ones who do choose to keep their kids? Where are their resources? I'm about 1 in 5 in the state of California that provides this level of services for pregnant and parenting teens. I'm bringing back the whole thing of maternity home. That's why ours is called Born for Near Maternity Home. We're bringing back that. Where is it? It doesn't happen. I think we should be in every neighborhood where, if you have a teen parent, because social economically, these kids, if you are from a poor background, you're in an environment that's abusive, you're exposed to this stuff, the likelihood of you getting pregnant is there. That's a part of it. That's a part of the prescription for disaster. Teen pregnancy is a part of that. So then, where are the resources? If we're not changing that systemically, and we're not providing, bringing people above the poverty line, if we are not making sure that they have jobs, and making sure they're not, all these people are successful dealing with the trauma and the domestic violence that's happening in these homes, if we're not addressing all of those issues to give these kids a start, then teen pregnancy is going to be there. But why is that then becomes the problem? Like, oh, it's the teen pregnancy. It's not the teen pregnancy. That's like calling teen pregnancy the sin. Teen pregnancy is not the sin. The sexual encounter that happened before. But why did they get pregnant? What happened in their household that created this? I can tell you, mine happened because I didn't have parents. I was in these streets. And so, not really understanding what protection was. I was with a dope dealer, and I was like, he was much older than I was. I was 14 at the time when I got pregnant. I had the abortion when I was 15, but he was 26, 27 years old. Like, why is that happening? But that was the norm in my neighborhood. That wasn't sitting on the back of his car or in his car with the music going, and the hydraulics was a part of the neighborhood. No one looked at me and said, that little girl should not be with that grown man. And then we shocked that I got pregnant. No, ma'am, that's not true. And so we want to deal with, oh, now these kids have these babies. Of course they don't know what to do. But can they? Yes. Can we change that family, that young mom and her baby? Can we change her and help her become the best mom? Yes. And I know it because I do it every day. So that part of it. So if we may not be able, because that whole why they got pregnant is so much bigger than me, I can definitely help the ones that after it's done and you decide, you have the courage and you say, I want to keep my kid. I got you. but it should be more of us doing that work.
When I wrote my book about all the ridiculousness I went through as a child, one of my mom's older cousins, she had said something like, I didn't recognize that was so traumatic. And I was like, so gun violence at watching somebody get shot and killed at 5, like watching you on Heron drive through a park, just normal. Yeah, guess so. And I say all that to say, you don't know what you don't know. And part of the resources is the education piece. Part of the resources is someone speaking life into those issues and to these young women, letting them know that they are not the problem. Part of those resources is allowing them to understand when they've been gaslit and they feel like something is wrong, but people are trying to make it seem like they're the problem. Part of the resources is the education that you provide, is the love and support that you provide, and the next level of affection that you provide. Because to so many, it's so foreign to hear that you're not crazy. This is a problem that you didn't create. And we're going to help you find ways to transition to something better. So we applaud you. We love you for being here. We love the work that you're doing, and we hope that you will come back and spend more time with us. I know you're getting your PhD, so we want to celebrate you. Please keep us posted, but let the people know how they can stay connected to you, how they can follow your journey, support you, or support the work that you're doing.
So I have a website, purposelychosen.org. And so they can find me on the website. I'm on Instagram under my name, Dretona Maddox, that links to the work that I'm doing with our girls. And so they can find me on all social media platforms under my name. Now, my name is rare. So once you write it, there's nobody else named Dretona. So you don't have to worry about that. There's no confusion there. Dretona is my name. And so yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms that way. Connect with me, DM me. We can connect on a one-to-one. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And so, or on my website, and contact me that way.
Do you ever have speakers or other people come in and talk with the girls, or individually? How can people maybe participate? Do you need donations? Like, talk to me about that.
Always donations, because in our placement, the system takes care of the kid that's in placement, meaning the teen parent. It doesn't take care of her offspring, because her offspring is not in the system. That kid has no CPS involvement. And so we have to, take care of that baby. So we always need diapers, wipes, car seats, that type of stuff. Like, we can never get enough of that type of stuff. So if people want to donate that really helps us. You have to be fingerprinted and associated with our facility in order to talk to the kids directly, because they're in placement, they're in foster care. And so that's supposed to be confidential. And so we're careful about that and exposing them until they're 21. Once they're 21, they're like, I want to be on this, or let me do this, And so I got a documentary coming out addressing this. And so as a part of my doctoral program, and I have a young mom that's sharing her story in that. But yeah, so always can use donations. Just taking care of that baby will be helpful for us.
Awesome. We will make sure that all of your information is in the captions. Ms. Gia?
I was going to say, don't leave once we go off. Don't leave, because I want to get more information from you, because our sorority, we have one of our, I want to say, pillars are, we have a stork's nest, and we do have chapters that are in the Inland Empire. So we want to get your information, because maybe we can share that with that chapter, and they can partner with you, and you can become you can be one of our stork's nests, where that way the sororities donating items, baby items and stuff, to your facility and stuff. So don't leave.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll make sure all her information is down in the captions. You guys support or do your own work. These are 2 homes in the Inland Empire. Do you know if there's any in Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles area?
St. Anne's is the largest and oldest maternity home that is in, we call it the mother facility.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have a Black CEO, Lorna Little, who is doing amazing work. She's only been in that position for about 3 years, but she is amazing. But it's St. Anne's, the largest. It's the only one in LA. In LA, been around for 104 years.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we will be talking to you soon. Stay well. Okay, what'd you think?
I think it was awesome. I would love to have her back. I would love to know more about, get more into her facility, because that is needed, because I think because it's not talked about right now. Before, back, I think it was in the 80s and maybe 90s, you heard more about teen pregnancy. That was a big thing, and we don't hear much about it. But even though just because we don't hear about it doesn't mean it's not happening. And I'm sure some people probably thought maybe the teen pregnancy rate has gone down, but I don't think it has. I think it's still around. It could be even higher, and that's a population that right now nobody's really talking about, but that population is out there. So it's awesome, awesome guests. I hopefully we can get her connected with a Zeta chapter, and they can do something with her. But not even
Not
that,
hopefully, hell, they
yeah,
should. That's
yeah, they
it.
should, and stuff, because but also too, it's just I want to be able to, I want to see what I can do as far as donation, because I have some things that I would want to maybe donate to her facility. So I want to keep in contact with her, and connect with her on offline about that. But yeah.
Awesome. So what do you have coming up? Let the people know what you have coming up and how to stay connected to you.
Well, y'all know y'all can always see me on well, not see me, but get in touch with me on Instagram or Facebook, the Mahogany Box. This Saturday, I will be at the Nothing But Black Flea, the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall, and it just so happens that it's also going to be the Pan African Film Fest is going to start this. Believe this coming up weekend too. So y'all come on out. Go to stop by the market, the flea market, the Nothing But Black, and then going into the mall and get some more culture, because they're going to have a bunch of vendors and art and all that kind of stuff, exhibits and stuff in the mall. And we also will have stuff outside too. So y'all come out this weekend. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful day. Come out, support these local small businesses, and spend some money. Spend some money. Spend a little change. I know y'all got some. Spend some. But yeah, that's all I got going on.
Before we close, I do want to send prayers out to the family of DJ K. Slay. He passed away from complications of COVID. That was pretty heartbreaking. I know he's been battling it for a while. He has been a huge part of the culture, the hip hop culture, and that just really breaks my heart. So you guys try to stay safe out there. Try to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your families. Hell, if you still want to wear a mask, because some people are just dirty. Okay. Just take care of yourself, because we don't want to continue losing people to this, ungodly crisis that we've been going through. We do on Sunday have our Lady Boss brunch with brands at Shade Hotel in Manhattan Beach. It's going to be amazing. So check out the Sand and Shores Instagram, Facebook page, because it's there, or hop on into the Lady Boss Facebook or LinkedIn page. All the info is there, but seats are limited. So make sure you sign up, get your ticket, reserve your seat, and come hang out with us. All professional women. It's going to be a good time. So if you don't know how to have a good time, you can either come learn or do something else, because we're all about having a good time. Other than that, Sand and Shores on all social media platforms, or Tonya McKenzie PR on all social media platforms. And if you are working on trying to put your story into words on paper, or just talk about it, let your girl know. I can help you out. Other than that, we're off this Wednesday. So we will see you again next week, and I'll tell you about why we're off this Wednesday next week when we see you. So hopefully we'll have a lot to report back. Hope to see you at the brunch. I plan on having some fun Wednesday and Thursday. And then, we always got some cool stuff to talk about. So I would love to see you guys back here. Stay connected, stay well, take care of yourself, and be blessed.